Hey Michael, how are you?
Pretty good. How's the sound?
It sounds great, man. It's good to hear your voice.
Oh, wow. That's good. I'm glad that the sound is good. So, just on a speakerphone for so
Yeah,
it's good.
it's very clear. I feel very fortunate, and I'm glad you have the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Oh, sure. There's lots of stuff that I can talk about.
There's more to talk about than we have time. That's for sure. But
Yeah.
you know what I thought? If I thought it might help for me just to tell you a little bit more about how the radio show has progressed.
Okay.
Would that be helpful?
Sure,
Anyway,
why not?
the normal radio show is on Revolution Radio at 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern today. And if we would have done that on the normal Skype thing, then we could have got you out on TalkStream Live. And there are people like Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh, Tucker Carlson out there. So it's a bigger audience. But we're still with this MP3 that I'm going to create. We're going to go out on Block Talk Radio, Player FM, TuneIn.com, Podbean, and then there's a couple of YouTube channels that are converting the shows into YouTubes. So what I've done is pretty much focus the show on the Meier teachings, the Meier spiritual teachings, and overpopulation. We might go off topic a little bit from time to time, but that's kind of the main focus of the show right now. I don't know if that's helpful, but I thought I would share that with you.
Sure. Sounds good. The more people that find out about it, the better.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, I feel such a sense of enthusiasm talking to you because one of the videos that you did was so fantastic. That YouTube video, I think it's called Reincarnation and the Evolution of the Consciousness. You did some presentation maybe in a library back in 2015. Mm-hmm. Are you going to do any more like that, or?
Yeah, each year I do a presentation that's kind of a new reincarnation of the same presentation. We do a couple of shows in Toronto, the Whole Life Expo and Total Health. So those shows, I do the presentation, but we don't film those shows.
Oh.
Yeah, but perhaps that will happen again in the future. You know, but basically the basic information is there. So, if people really want to know more about the topic, you're going to have to learn German.
Well, I want to get into that today because, oh my goodness, when you start to go into the German, your mind gets blown. At least that's what I've seen.
Your mind gets what?
Blown. It's just.
Yeah, nothing.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say that one of the things I wanted to. I had a few points that I wanted to say, and one of the things is that I'm just really just brushing over in very broad strokes the information, because when you think of when you start looking at the various topics that Billy elaborates on, it's like taking a magnifying glass, and the more you look, the more deeper it gets.
Yes.
It's just so much to it, and I mean, I am definitely not an expert on any of these topics. I read, I read a little bit of the stuff, and it's just I'm conveying the information that I've read as best I can, but certainly not in all detail.
Oh, that's incredible. Well, I totally understand because, like, I'll give you an example. Like, in my life, I started out real interested in the contact notes and fascinated with all that, and I kind of held off a little bit on the books, and then I finally got into the books, And I went out to Munns Park in Arizona a couple times. I had a couple meetings out there with some other people. And I started, now I've got the Might of Thoughts, The Way to Live, the Talmud of Emmanuel, the Psyche, and the Goblet of Truth I printed out. But the Might of Thoughts, for one reason or another, is the book I've landed in. And I have repeated reading this book about 7 or 8 times now. And I'm amazed. And I'm just reading it in the English. And I'm amazed that I keep finding new stuff. And I'm like, how did I miss that before? Have you had that kind of experience at all?
Oh, well, sure. I mean, that makes total sense. I'm just looking at the Might of Thoughts right now for the first time, and I find it's slow going because it's so it's very detailed.
Oh,
and but to answer your question, I think as you evolve as a human being and you process the information, then it makes it possible for you to gain new insights or draw more from the information. That's what I think anyway.
Right. That makes perfect sense. So are you going back, are you reading this book a little bit right now too?
I just read a little bit, a page or a paragraph per day.
That's so funny. I read 15 minutes. I'm trying to read 15 minutes every day in this book. And I find out that I cover too much material to really retain that much. Like, I really need, like you said, to read about a sentence in the book and then think about it the rest of the day at least, and maybe the next week or something. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, I guess it all depends on what it is. I found that a book that was easier for me to get into was The Way to Live.
Yes.
Yeah, and it really drew a lot of interesting ideas from that, and yeah, so that's it. But I do have something that I wanted to share with you. It had to do with a booklet that we got from Christian Freiner last September on. It's really interesting. It's questions and answers about the Nocodamian prophet line.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a friend of mine, or Catherine Mossman. She's in the process of translating this booklet, so it will be available probably in a few months' time. But if you want to hear about it, I can talk about it.
Oh, I'm so fascinated with that. I mean, the fact that Billy's spirit form is 9.6 billion years old is just staggering.
Yeah. So it is interesting, and there's a little breakdown about that process that 9.6 billion years ago, as you say, that's when the spirit form started, mm-hmm. and then after the normal reincarnation process of and incarnations of personalities, 52 million years. It took them 52 million years to get into the half material realm, and then from there, the standard 56 million years in that zone or realm, and then after that went into the Arhat Asarsata plane for 8.7 million years, and then there was a 1.2 billion years of preparation time before entering back into the material reincarnation process. And so his actual spirit form now has been, and the various personalities have been, the spirit form been reincarnating for 8.3 billion years. So that's like not going over to, the pure spirit forms. So he just went there once. So this is clearing up some information, some perhaps misunderstandings about that process that Billy's spirit form has been going through. And so actually he's been new personalities, reincarnating, incarnating of new personalities for 8.3 billion years. It's just crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and we also got some new information about the spirit form. It will continue to reincarnate until 3999
on Earth.
Yeah, on Earth. Yeah, but sometimes temporarily leaving the Earth. Like he in the new personalities, he may go away, but he'll always. It's just temporary. He's because he's going to remain in contact with the Pleiadian during this time.
Mm-hmm.
Basically nobody will know because he won't tell anybody.
Mm.
And after this 3999, he's going to die and go directly to the Arahat Atarsata level, never to come back into the material realm again.
That's enough to make me clinically depressed.
No, no, because there's so much information that we have that actually not only us but all human beings in the creation, basically. There's so much information that we have everything that we need to evolve, and to work and grow and get to where we got to go. But come 3999, then there's going to be approximately 500 to 600,000 people who will choose to leave the Earth, and these are people that have been working with, in the mission or working with the material, and so they will go and continue their evolution on higher evolved among higher evolved races,
mm-hmm.
and so that's and eventually work their way up through into the half material, and then of course into the Arahat Atarsata level, like we're all going to do at some point. And the other point is to state is that in the future personalities of the Nokadanian spirit form, so between now and 3999, the personalities will be aware of the mission, but will not say anything to anyone about their contacts with the Pleiadian and with so nobody will know who he is, or who I'm assuming it's a he, the personalities. But
is it true? Sorry to interrupt you. Is it true that his future incarnations won't even have much to do with the mission?
I'm not sure about that. I think it will probably have to do with the mission,
okay.
But I'm not sure about that. But I think it will be, but it'll be more in the background, and so people that will come into the forefront that say, I'm the reincarnation of Academian spirit form line. You can be sure that's going to be a fraud, and because he will not say anything about that.
That's so interesting. So he will continue to incarnate on Earth until 3999.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
But he will have contact with the Pleiarm, but he will not talk about them. And we don't even know how much he's going to talk about the mission either.
We don't, but chances are that he will be involved with it.
I hope so.
Because, I think so, and probably we may recognize that, hey, this guy's really wise and really seems to know a lot, but we won't know who he is, and we won't say who he is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, the only other thing that's, you probably already know this, or maybe some people that are listening don't know this, though, is that in the booklet it also goes through, I'm just opening up the booklet right now, a list of some of the non-profit incarnations of the Nocodamian spirit form. Mm-hmm. So on Earth, and so the first one is Johanna Georg Faust, and then and that was in 1479 to 1541, and then there's Galileo, which was 1564 to 1642. Then there's a question mark, possibly another person, but that's not filled in. So maybe that's something that we're eventually going to find out. So that's a mystery.
Okay.
And then there's the Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, of course, 1756 to 1791. Felix Mendelssohn, 1809 to 1847 is when he died. Then Rasputin.
Can I ask you a quick question? What do you think? Yeah. I think it's very interesting that he has incarnations completely dedicated to music, totally.
Yeah, well, at least, two, yeah. That's very interesting, yeah. Now, unfortunately, I haven't looked at this entire booklet. I was just browsing through it a couple days ago. But it goes into probably the role that music plays for the evolution of human beings. And so, that could be talked about maybe at another time, but when this booklet is translated, Can
I ask another question? The booklet is a new booklet that is available through FIGU Canada?
No. This is it is available through Switzerland.
Okay.
It's called Fragen und Antworten zur Nocodamian Kundalini, which is questions and answers about the Nocodamian prophet line. And that's only available in German. And so that one will be translated by the Big Ulanus Group Canada, and will be available probably,
at some point.
At some point, exactly.
It probably takes a couple of years to get one of these translations out, right?
Well, no, it depends on how big. Well, the way we work is pretty slow, but not all of us actually. But anyway, it takes some time. The other thing that's interesting in this booklet, which has to do with the last thing I wanted to talk about with regards to this booklet, was having to do with the sonar people.
Oh, yeah. They don't need a ship, correct? That's I mean, I don't know if they still use ships or not, but they certainly they were the ones that were involved with those portals, those opening up of
portals were what a crazy thought. It's just having this device somehow strapped to your waist, and you key in your coordinates, and boom, this gateway opens up, and you walk through it, and you're there.
Amazing.
Just it's crazy stuff, but yeah, those are the people that are coming from the Dal universe, which is the twin universe to our Dern universe. So just like how we can have when we give birth to a child, it could be triplets or even twins or whatever. Well, that's the Big Bang. That's what happened, as you know this. Mm-hmm. But this is I'm saying this for the benefit of people that may not know anything about this. But with the Big Bang, it was this the creation of our universe, our material universe, as well as a total of 7 belts. I mean, it's an expanding universe anyway. Well, at the same time, there was a Dal universe, or just about the same time, which was created. So there were actually 2 universes were created, I think, pretty close to simultaneously. And so these Sonar people are residing in this in our twin universe. Completely, that universe is completely independent from our universe, with all its own galaxies and stars and everything. And but what happened is the forefathers of the current Pleiadian have found a way to traverse from our universe into the Dal universe. And when they were in the Dal universe, they met up with the Timars, mm-hmm. which is Asket's people. Mm-hmm. And Asket was one of Billy's main contacts back in the 60s, I do believe. And
can I throw a quick question in here? One of the things I talk about all the time on the radio show is Billy's trip into or below the Great Pyramid with Asket. Was that back in 1953? I think it was.
Yeah, it could have been. I don't remember the dates, but yeah, very interesting.
So that's where he saw the Giza intelligences and their ship and their headquarters down there, right?
Well, yeah, it wasn't actually below the pyramid. It was I think it was a few kilometers away.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, they had to actually go in through the Giza pyramid. It was some kind of energy doorway of some sort, or it was some kind of. Anyway, I don't know. I can't remember all the details, but they got in to this thing, and then they had to walk for quite a long, long time. And so it wasn't actually underneath the pyramid itself. It was a few kilometers away from the pyramid.
That's fascinating. And it talks about these old cubicle constructions that were below the earth, and they were like 73,000 years old. Something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
But I just find that whole story fascinating with Asket.
Yeah.
Just so. Go ahead. I didn't mean to derail you. Go ahead.
No, that's all very interesting. I mean, it makes me think back of what we've been. We actually been translating for several years, and getting derailed every now and then with other books. But it's whereby it talks about some of the those experiences and his various trips with Asket, and so it's all very, very interesting. I remember just one of the parts where they're walking into the main room where the Giza intelligences have their headquarters, and there's this robot or android or deadly kind of a creature that's standing guard just by the entrance. I don't know if you remember that, but
yeah.
And Oscar is telling him, you got to be really, really quiet, because this thing will destroy you instantly if it hears you. So they're like tiptoeing, a couple of probably feet or inches away from this thing as they go into the place. Right? This is crazy stuff.
The shocker about all this, though, is the deception that religion has played on Earth. If you understand what I'm, when he finally sees the crown of thorns and I guess it's the purple cape you would call it, and the staff or whatever, and he's really troubled by all of that. Can you comment on any of that?
Not too much. I mean, I guess they had some kind of plan to somehow bring this forth and use it as a way to maybe influence people in a negative way. Finally, aha! So this is true. All of this stuff, about religion and further enslave humanity. But and probably I don't know. Probably somehow further enslave. I mean, people are already enslaved. But I just wanted to get back to the thing about the Timars and the Sonar people. So the Sonar people that were in the Tao universe, or are in the Tao universe, according to the Pleiadian, they are the oldest race, human race in the Tao universe that they know of, or maybe the most advanced race that they know of. And the Timars are split from that lineage or that race, and but both of those races, the Sonar and the Timars, have they have prophets as well in the Tao universe, but it's different from here in our Dern universe, as they call our universe. They actually have two prophets, and one of them is a woman, and her name is Neza.
How do you spell that?
Nese, and the male prophet is Alkan, Alkan. And so those are and then when I guess when the forefathers of the Pleiadian met up with the Timars, they also had the forefathers had the teachings of Nocodamian.
Amazing.
And but these were identical. These teachings of Neza and Alkan were basically identical to the teachings of Nocodamian, in the sense that they were in complete harmony with each other.
Wow. And
so then the teachings of Nocodamian, Neza, and Alkan were all bound to each other and are currently taught by the Timars and among the Timars and the Sonar people, and apparently will remain so for all future times. So it's interesting.
The Timars, their forefathers were the people from Lyra Vega, the Lyrians? No. They are split off of the Sonar people, who are originally from the Tao universe, and the Timars are the people that met up with the forefathers of the Pleiadians. When the forefathers of the Pleiadians developed a technology where they were able to traverse from our
Stern universe into the Gal universe, they met up with these Timars that were already there, and so they, I'm assuming they interbred, intermixed, certainly, and the forefathers of the Pleiadians, they brought with them the teachings of Nocodamian, and they shared them with the Timars, who already had their own spiritual teaching, which from Neza and Alcan. And so all three prophets were, I guess, amalgamated because they were in complete harmony with each other.
So when you say the forefathers of the Pleiadian, are you then talking to the Lyrians?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't specify, but yeah, that would make sense.
And isn't the Lyrian language in German similar in some ways?
Yeah, I guess that I don't know the details about that. Probably could find. There's so much information. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, I think there is, somehow a relationship between German and the Lyran or Lyrian. I think it's Lyran. Anyway, I'm not sure which one. Yeah, it could be Lyran or Lyrian.
What doesn't it say that written in Billy's spiritual teaching is an evolutive code that works on you subconsciously, but only when you read it in the German? Have you heard that before? Yeah.
It's like I think it's a forward to all the books.
That's what I
Billy's
thought.
Written.
Yeah.
So in that case, if someone reads you the German, even if you don't understand the German, you can still get the benefit of this code.
Wow.
So, or if you read the German but you don't know and correctly pronounce it, then you will get the benefit of the code as well, even if you don't know what you're reading.
That's so hilarious. So, but it has to be read out loud and pronounced correctly.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it has to be read out loud. I mean, if it's read out loud to you by a German speaker, then you would be able to get the benefit. But if you read it silently to yourself, I think you could still get the benefit of the code. It's just that I'd have to. I have that information in one of my books somewhere here, but I think that's what it is.
Now, I'm not good enough to completely read it in the German, but I do study specific German words here and there, and I'm trying to read it more in the German. For example, and there's a lot of compound words in the German, right? Yeah. For example...
Billy said something, Billy said something like, I'd have to look this up in my little black book here, but I think he's invented something like 30 or 40,000 new words, just because
wow.
he compounds the words. Here it is. I gave you the correct information. 30,000 new words.
He created 30,000 new words. That's why I can never find them when I go try to find them.
That's right. I find there's a few dictionaries up online that are very helpful. One of them is DeepL.
Yeah, I use that.
That's the translation. And there's Lingui and DicCC. So those are three dictionaries that I use on a regular basis. So usually I can find the words or roots of words, or half a word.
Half a word, yeah. Like I use dic.cc and I use the DeepL, but you mentioned another one, Lingui. How do you spell that?
Linguee, I think. Lingui.
Okay, I'll look for that one too. And for example, the word in German Wesen if you just look it up, I think it'll say entity, essence, or being. And then there's another word, Wesenheit. And if you look that in the Figu dictionary, it'll give you a definition of inner natural form. And what is interesting is that if you look it up on Figu dictionary, it'll also use it in a sentence, and it says, so the entire body and the brain of the human being as well as the spirit are two fundamentally different inner natural forms, both of which in their coarse substantial as well as in their high fine fluido kind are of fundamentally different natures. So is it talking about the material consciousness and the spiritual consciousness there?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out what you were, how you were going to get the Wesenheit in there or whatever. So could you please repeat that again?
Sure. So I start with the word Wesen, which I think means entity, essence, being. Maybe you have a better definition?
I don't know. Yeah, we can go with what Figu Dick says, yeah.
Okay. And then if you go to Wesenheit, you see it in Figu dictionary as inner natural form. And then they actually have I guess it's from the Goblet of Truth or one of Billy's books, where they show how it's used, and that was that sentence I just read you.
Yeah.
But also I hear the word Wesenheiten.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's used as this category of beings that, how does it put it, doesn't have but only a small self-determining possibility of evolution. Like the universal consciousness, I guess what it's saying is the universal consciousness evolves according to some fixed pattern or something along those natures, where a human being evolves. Since we have a personality, there's more self-determination in our evolution. Is that true? Am I understanding that correctly?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty early in the morning to start talking about this stuff.
I hear you. Totally right.
But I'd say that that's how we evolve, is through our material consciousness. So through our making mistakes and investigating stuff and thinking about it and processing it and trying to figure out various problems that we have in our life and resolving and reading and learning and gathering knowledge and so that act of us using our brain and thinking about stuff, we gain some wisdom and some knowledge, and that's how we evolve. That's how our spirit form evolves, through our material consciousness and through us doing the work that we do in our life. And whereas the universal consciousness is evolving as well. I mean, how it evolves is through creating, individual. Through creating spirit forms that, the spirit form, energy of some sort that eventually can incarnate for the first time into a human being, and whereby through reincarnations after that of the spirit form and new personalities, eventually the spirit form that's contained within the human being evolves back, through countless reincarnations, through into the pure spiritual planes, and then back into creation itself, whereby all of the knowledge that's been gathered over this period of roughly 3 billion years gets helps in the evolution of the would say the universal consciousness, because that's how the creation, that's how the universal consciousness evolves. So, so each individual, you, me, all of us have are evolving, and we have a spirit form, and that spirit form is slowly gathering more and more evolutive values through our material consciousness, through our ego, through our personality, and the stuff that pertains to reality and truth, and that is related to that is transmitted from our material consciousness in impulse wise to the spirit form contained within us, and whereby the spirit form gains more and more power, the more reincarnations it has with these new personalities. That's kind of the process.
Do you guys, do you have like a team of people that you're working with in Canada to do these translations, or do you kind of work individually?
Yeah, so I'm not representing the Figure Canada group right now. I'm kind of doing this independently of them, but
okay.
Yeah, but I can answer some questions, I suppose.
Uh-huh.
So basically, there are a few people that work on books, and then it works both ways. And then there's there can be some people that work on the material themselves, and then we look at it together, or a translation team of three of us. But then whoever wants to can be involved in proofreading and bringing up suggestions. And
yeah. The translation process is brutally hard work, isn't it?
It depends. Depends who's involved, and because what's crazy about it is that you can have 3 or 4 different versions of the same sentence, and they all pretty much are good,
right?
But and say kind of the same thing. So it's hard to kind of.
It's hard to choose, and
yeah,
probably causes some debates. I would imagine. So.
Some friction sometimes too.
Totally, I would imagine it would be very difficult. To do that.
Yeah, but I just want to say that, and it'll never be really sufficient. No matter how good a translation we try to come up with, better to go directly to to what Billy has to say in the German if you can. But that's a real challenge to learn the German language. But then, if you start, the sooner you start, the sooner you'll get a handle on it. And it's been years that's been trying to learn the German language, and it's only recently that I've started to kind of get a bit more of a handle of the German itself. But it's just it takes a. Unfortunately, I'm not one of these people that's talented in picking up languages. Those people maybe can pick up a language very quickly, especially if you're younger. But it's quite a hard slog. But it's definitely worthwhile to pursue. And now there's so many useful tools out there, like the DeepL translation tool, where if you just plunk it in, you'll have almost instantaneous translation to German. And then if you compare the two, and if you use the Figure Dictionary, which you can find on ca.figure.org site, you can get. And the more you do it, the more you look at the stuff and try to compare the English with the German and try to get the right, understanding of what is actually, because even though those translation tools are really good, there still are quite a considerable amount of errors. But it gets you started in looking at, analyzing the German and putting it side by side with the English. But the more you do that, the more you start to recognize words in German, because Billy uses a lot of the. There's always new words that I have to look up. This is decades.
Gosh.
Maybe even more that I've been looking at this, trying to do this. Because it's actually, I found out about this case about 32 years ago. But anyway,
wow.
Getting back to it, the more you do it, the more you start to recognize words and see how the sentences are put together. And what I do is I underline the words that I don't know, and then I just quickly look them up, so I don't lose the thread of the what I'm seeing now. Or reading. So it becomes easier the more you do it. Yeah. So the idea is to look at the German, read the German, underline the words that you don't know, look them up, plug them in a pencil on the side. A technical pencil is what I use because I can get into those small spaces, and then basically, the more you do that, I know it's so tedious. It sounds so tedious, but for me, that's the way I did it, because I didn't want to learn how to say, the conversation German, but I wanted to learn the spiritual teaching and the material. So that's. And I remember speaking to Billy about it when I was looking at the Talmud Emmanuel, the very first version of it, and the first edition put out by Celestial Teachings, I think it was called, the publishing house, or no, Wildflower, that's what it was. And I was looking at it, and I had just bought the book, and I opened it up, and I looked at this, and then I looked at the German, and I had no idea, but I started to compare the two, and that's why it's good to have the German and the English side by side like that, because you can do a comparison. And I started to find these discrepancies or stuff that was left out, and so I started to compile this big, huge list, and this is how I started to get involved with the German language. And when I showed Billy this massive list that I compiled of, critical, which was in red, highlighted, and green highlight, which wasn't quite as, but it was not quite right. And so he was kind of, he was surprised that there was all of this stuff.
Oh, so he hadn't really read the first translation so much.
No, well, what was weird was that the first English translation had stuff completely left out from the German version.
Really?
So, yeah. So then.
It was pretty bad, wasn't it?
Yeah. So what happened? Yeah, it was pretty bad. Anyway, what happened was that he had. It's a long story, so I don't really want to get into that. But anyway, it turns out that all of those earlier versions of Talmud Emmanuel were faulty, and then the recent one that we've published is the final one.
It's gigantic too. It's huge. Billy has so many interesting explanations. He has so many interesting explanations in the Talmud, the new one.
Yeah. I have to confess that I haven't read it. I just haven't had, I haven't made the time, I guess.
Well, this is one thing I wanted to ask you about, Michael, because, I could spend the rest of my life in the Might of Thoughts book, easily.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's true. It's there's so much information in. Like I said at the beginning, these are all really broad strokes, and if you take a magnifying glass and really investigate something, the more you look at it, the more you find, and it's just it's the same with the Uyttebroek book that I did based all those reincarnation presentations on. I mean, or the fluidal energy stuff. I mean, I have to say the fluidal energies presentations, the 3 presentations that I did on YouTube, that's just I think the first 60 or 70 pages of the book.
Wow.
I mean,
Are you ever gonna do any more of those
No, never.
No?
What?
Like the YouTubes are so good. Are you gonna do any more of those?
Yeah, but probably not on fluidal energies. It's just too detailed and too much.
Really? Gosh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, but yeah, there's something I'd like to do. Thinking about doing. See, I've been doing the stuff on overpopulation because I think that is really critical as well to bring forward so people can see the impact or start thinking about the impact that humanity is having on the earth, and so I mean, Billy's been talking a lot about it as well. I mean, he's been talking about it for decades, and that's got me thinking about it when I started to read, because I really hadn't thought about overpopulation until I found out about the Meier case.
Mm-hmm.
And but it makes, and we've been seeing as time progresses how our population is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and with that are accompanied incredible demands for everything, resources and the effects of just pollution that we create through having all of these things, and requiring of energy and requiring of everything that we need. And but the other side of the argument is that there are people that think, oh, it's not, we have enough for many more people, and that's not the problem. The problem is consumerism. We're consuming so much, us predominantly the West, and we're exploiting all the world's resources, and that's the problem. And that was, I understand that mentality, but that is a problem. The absolute exploitation of everything. So that the big corporations can make a lot of money, and keep the materialistic desire for things rolling and growing, so that they can have more profits. But that's only part of the problem, because really, the more and more people that there are on the planet, whether they're rich like us, in the West, and are able to buy all of these things, whatever. Not really rich, but just saying, we can buy, our iPads and whatever. But it's just the exponential growth that we're, according to the Pleiadian people, we're, at right now we're definitely over 9 billion people, which is a lot more people than what the UN says we are.
Mm-hmm.
They say we're something like over 7 billion, or somewhere 7.5. I don't know exactly what they say, but they say that we won't be reaching the 9 billion till somewhere around, I think, 2050. But we're already there, and and we're increasing by, let's say, roughly 100 million people per year, very roughly. So you can see that we're going to be massively overpopulated. Massively. I mean, we are already massively overpopulated, but we're going to even be more massively overpopulated in a few years' time. And with this, comes all the consequences, which is just that's why I've been doing these videos, so that just letting people know that we need to stop having children, or just just stop having kids, and just hold off on having kids for a little while. And that's the problem. I'm just looking at I don't know what I have a PowerPoint right in front of me here, which I'm just looking at.
I wanted to interject something just to let you know a little bit about, again, how the show is progressing. We typically do 2 hours, and I had a overpopulation expert on the show for the last 6 months, and he was taking the second hour. He's traveling around the world right now, so he won't be back for another 6 months, but it's been fascinating, that last hour being dedicated to overpopulation and things like that. So that's one of the topics I definitely want to cover in the program.
For example, I just Arhat Atharsata, which is the book that we just recently published. But I was just looking in the German edition, which was published in 1975, and on page 19, Arhat Atharsata, which is the first of the pure spiritual planes or levels or whatever. It was recommending. It gave Billy these via some kind of spiritual telepathy or impulses. So that Billy wrote this book out, and in it, it's talking about population density.
Mm-hmm.
The population density should be an average of about 12 people per square kilometer, which is roughly about 20 acres, 20.5 acres per person. Is that correct? Hang on. Sorry. Average of 12 people for 20.5 acres. And each family should have a maximum of 3 kids. And then it was, and then if you look at I did a comparison in Hong Kong, one of the most densely populated places in the world. In the mid 2014, they had a population density of 6,690 persons per square kilometer. And there was actually one district that had 57,250 persons per square kilometer.
That's horrible. Horrible.
Can you imagine?
No.
No.
It's horrible.
As opposed to 12 people. Anyway, that's just craziness. But so that's an interesting little.
So, Michael, we've already gone a whole hour. I want to get you more involved in the show, but I know you're very busy. So, do you want to keep it to an hour today, and then maybe do another show in a short period of time instead of, I don't know how long it's been since we've talked. 2 years, 3 years, I don't know.
Yeah, I know, time just flies by. Because we have there's actually a peace meditation that we're going to be doing.
Okay.
Today. And so I will have to get start thinking about that. But I just wanted to say, with regards to the peace meditation, that according to, I guess it would be the Pleiadian people, that in October 2016, there were 21,461 people doing the peace meditation. I guess it's, I'm not sure which weekend in October. And then come May 29th, 2018, it was already 37,486 people that were doing the peace meditation. So the peace meditation is actually it's gaining traction. So that's good news.
That's very
good
news.
Sorry. So that's it for because I'll have to start thinking about that myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a total pleasure as always, and I'm hoping we can do another show in a short period of time. I know you're very busy right now, but I really appreciate it. Thanks for all your hard work and your effort and everything you shared with us today.
Billy would say something like, "Oh, don't mention it."
Okay. All right, Michael. We'll see you.
We'll get in touch.
Bye-bye.
All right. Follow me.